I love being a film major. Because it allows me to expand my horizon here on YouTube as a critic and review stuff like this movie, The Grandmaster. I'm taking a class on Chinese action films and I aim to review all the movies that I see. So, without further ado, let's talk about this movie that came out this year, The Grandmaster from Hong Kong. The Grandmaster tells the story about the IP Man, or Yip Man, who's a well-known martial artist and Wing Chun grandmaster. He taught many students who eventually became teachers, and one of his most famous students, if not his most famous student, was the one and only Bruce Lee. This movie chronicles his life living in Foshan, China, and moving to Hong Kong after the Second Sino-Japanese War during World War II. Now, that was the plot summary, but to be honest, from a story perspective, this one's actually pretty tough to follow. From a style and action perspective, though, this movie is very, very impressive. A lot of the fight scenes are really well choreographed, but some of them do take a lot of editing, which it's annoying because it's like quick cut editing when the camera should just be out watching these guys do what they do, which most of the movie's fight scenes are that. The camera's out. You get to see these guys really be at their best and do what they do. And it can leave you on the edge of your seat. Especially there's a fight scene between two characters in a train station during snow. And not only is it exciting, but it's also really beautiful and enhanced by the cinematography, which there's a lot of slow motion shots of basically the environment. Like that train station, there's snow being knocked over as people are sliding in it, which is in slow-mo, and it looks beautiful. Said it weird like that, I don't know. And then at the opening fight, there's water that's like dripping everywhere, like dripping off the Grandmaster's hat, water being knocked up through like people sliding in it again, and it just looks amazing. And the cinematography and action scenes again are the big thing that's very impressive about this movie. Back to what's not impressive about this movie, however, is the way the story was told. Now, I saw both the American version of this in theaters over the summer, and I didn't review it when I did because just in class Monday we saw the original Hong Kong version, which I figured I'll do my review once I see both versions and say how they're different, because they're different in terms of storytelling and basically length. The American version is much shorter and runs for about an hour and a half, like hour 40 minutes. Its main focus is on the IP Man, and a lot of the story, basically, the movies are the same in terms of like the footage, actors, and so on. It's not dubbed, so luckily you don't have to hear horrible dubbing. But they took out about a half hour of this movie and replaced it with one of these things. I find that to be kind of lazy. Only use it in the beginning and end. Don't use it like in several middle parts of the movie. And for the American version, it just got annoying. In its defense, it was a little easier to follow than the Hong Kong version, which is longer, has some scenes that were cut from the American version. But in the Hong Kong version, half of the focus seemed to be taken off the IP or Yip Man and focused on this other character, Gong Air, played by a very bored-looking Zhang Ziyi, who you may remember from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and House of Flying Daggers, which, by the way, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon will be one of the movies I'm going to watch in class, so expect a review for that soon. Half of the focus of the Hong Kong version seems to be on her, and to the point where you kind of forget the Grandmaster Yip Man is in the movie at points. And the Hong Kong version just has a scene involving, if I remember correctly, the Year of the Snake and this like snake soup. There's also a scene cut from the American version that involves a barber shop where there's this one guy. This got a big laugh out of the audience. Right before the guy got kicked, he went, and the whole class just laughed at that. For the sake of just laughing with a crowd of how ridiculous that face was, I'm happy that that was cut from the American version, but the Hong Kong version in the end is just a little harder to follow than the American version, and both versions of the film have like differences in music. If I think my memory on the American version is kind of vague, but if I remember correctly, the American version has some different music from the original Hong Kong version, which in terms of music, I don't remember, but I think the Hong Kong version, I like the Hong Kong version better. There's just more. It doesn't do that cheap, and so he did this text screen, but the story's a little hard to follow. But in the end, I feel that the cinematography and action scenes well make up for the difficult to follow story. So the Grandmaster, I think, is good, but it's not great because it lacks in its storytelling. See the Hong Kong version. The original. Whenever you're watching a foreign film, the original version is always the best. Like if I tell you to see a Godzilla movie, always see the Japanese version, because the American version, well, that's just me, but that's my review for the Grandmaster. Leave a comment if you've seen the movie, subscribe to my channel for more reviews in the future, check out my other channel, AlexG8462, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, tell your friends about me. This has been The Cinemas with Mr. Robinson, and remember, know it before you see it. See you guys later.